I just dropped my wife off at the airport thinking it was just another work trip to San Francisco. But right as I started to drive off, my 8-year-old son grabbed my hand, his voice all shaky. "Dad, please don't go home tonight. I know something about Mom. You've got to believe me this time." I looked into his eyes and saw he was genuinely terrified. So I believed him and we hid, and what I saw next? It still messes with my head every single day. Before I tell you what my son saw that made him beg me not to go home, tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. I want to know who's up with me right now listening to the story of the moment that saved our lives. It was a Thursday night at SeaTac Airport. Rain was hitting the windshield as I pulled up to departures. Brooke leaned over and gave me a quick kiss. "I already drove my Honda here yesterday for the prep meetings," she said, grabbing her carry-on. "So you've got the family car this weekend, babe. Sounds good. See you Friday night. Love you." "Love you too." And just like that, she was gone through the sliding doors. Black blazer blonde hair pulled back. She looked like a total pro heading to San Francisco. I didn't suspect a thing. In the back, Ethan was dead silent in his booster seat, just twisting the straps of his dinosaur backpack. At 8 years old, my son is the quiet type, the kid who sees things other people miss. I put the car in drive and pulled into the airport traffic. Just another Thursday drop-off, just another business trip, just another... Then Ethan grabbed my arm. It wasn't a tap, it was a grip. His little hand clamped down on my arm so hard it made me jump. "Dad, we can't go home tonight." I glanced back at him in the rearview mirror. His face was white, his eyes were huge. My first reaction was to just sigh. I thought, here we go again. Another worry, another monster in the closet. I opened my mouth to say something to calm him down, something to just brush it off, but his hand was shaking. "Please," his voice cracked, "please believe me this time." This time, man, those 2 words hit me like a punch, because he had tried to warn me before. That weird car parked across from our house 3 nights in a row. I'd told him he was imagining things. That phone call he overheard at 2 in the morning. I'd just said it was a bad dream. I brushed him off, patted his head, and sent him back to bed. But now he was begging me, shaking in the back seat, and I could see it in his eyes, pure terror. This wasn't imagination. It wasn't anxiety. It was real fear. The kind you feel when you know something awful is coming and no one will believe you. I was heading for the I-5 exit. Home was north, a 20-minute drive to Lake City, our house with the blue door and the maple tree, the house that was supposed to be our safe place. But Ethan was trembling, and I knew I'd been wrong before. I'm an engineer. I figure out risks for a living, and in that moment, with rain pounding on the roof and my son's hand squeezing my arm, the math was easy: risk of believing him and being wrong. We waste a night, risk of not believing him and being wrong. Something terrible happens. The choice wasn't even close. I switched lanes. "Okay," I said quietly, "I believe you." Ethan let out a shaky breath like he'd been holding it forever. "You do?" "Yeah, buddy, I do." I met his eyes in the mirror. "I'm sorry I didn't before." He just nodded, blinking really fast. I took the exit toward our neighborhood, but my hands were steady now. My mind was already in problem-solving mode. If something was really wrong, if Ethan had actually heard or seen something, I had to figure out what we were dealing with. For years, I was just buried in work, late nights at Boeing weekends playing catch-up on reports. Always chasing that next promotion. I told myself it was for my family, but the truth was a lot uglier. I'd stopped paying attention to what was happening at home. Not anymore. So instead of going home to Lake City, I made a turn that changed our lives. We were going home, but we weren't going inside. We just sat there in the darkness. I parked my truck in the shadows of 2 big oaks across from our house on the quiet street. I'd spent 2 years designing that house. Every single beam, every system. It was supposed to be our safe place. Hours just crawled by. Ethan was dozing against the window. I just watched our porch light, our blue door, the maple tree moving in the wind. Everything looked normal. By 10:45, I was feeling pretty stupid. "Maybe we should just go check," I whispered. "Maybe you heard wrong." Ethan jolted awake. "Wait, Dad, please. Just a little longer." The desperation in his voice made me stay, but my engineer brain was running the numbers, and they just weren't adding up. Then I saw headlights. No, wait, not headlights. A dark shape was rolling down the street with its lights off. A van, black or maybe navy, hard to tell with no front plate. It crept past 2 houses. Then it slowed down and stopped right in front of ours. My heart was pounding. 2 men got out, all black clothes, hoodies pulled up, their faces covered. They moved like they knew what they were doing. No hesitation, no looking around. Pros. "Who are they?" I whispered. "The bad people Mom was talking to." Ethan whispered back. They walked up our driveway like they owned the place. I expected them to try and force the lock. Maybe smash a window. I reached for my phone to call 911. Then one of them pulled something out of his pocket. A key. My key. He slid it right into the lock. The deadbolt turned with a little click. They just walked inside my house. How? My voice cracked. How do they have a key? There were only 3 keys. Mine was in the cup holder. Brooks was supposed to be in San Francisco, and the spare was in a lockbox in her home office, an office she always kept locked. Mom gave it to them, Ethan whispered. I heard her. She said she'd leave it in an envelope. My wife gave strangers a key to our home, to the house where our son slept. I saw flashlight beams cut across the windows. They were systematic searching. Then I smelled it. Sharp chemical. My brain knew it instantly. An accelerant, petroleum-based, not natural gas. Smoke started curling from a bunch of windows at once. It was a pro job. Multiple fire starters. They'd doused the house, laid trails, and probably shut off the smoke detectors. An orange light started to glow inside. It was fast, way too fast for an accident. The fire took off like it was meant to. Flames started licking through the window frames. Glass shattered from the heat. The 2 men walked out calm, not in a hurry at all, got back in the van and vanished around the corner, right as sirens started wailing somewhere far off. Someone else had called 911. I fumbled for the burner phone in my glove box and dialed with shaking hands. Fire at 2314 North Lake City Way, fully engulfed. I hung up before they could ask me anything. It was strategic. I wasn't ready for anyone to know we were alive. Fire trucks screamed down the street. Firefighters were jumping out, pulling hoses, yelling, but I knew they couldn't save it. The house was burning too hot and too fast. 2 years of my work was turning into ash. Ethan was crying. Soft, choked sobs. I told you, Dad. I pulled him close, pressing his face into my shoulder. You saved us, son. You really saved our lives. He did. If we'd been in there sleeping, those guys would have locked us in. We would have had 2 minutes, maybe less. My 8-year-old son just saved us from being burned alive. While the firefighters were fighting the flames, I made another call. This one was to a person my dad told me to trust if I was ever in real trouble. An attorney named Catherine Reynolds, an old friend of Dad's from his union days. He'd shoved her business card in my hand at his funeral 5 years ago, already so weak from cancer. Keep this, he'd said. If you ever need someone who won't quit, call her. I just hoped she'd remember him. I was watching from my hiding spot a block away. I saw my wife arrive at the disaster she created. The Uber pulled up just after 11:30. Brooke got out, saw the smoking house, and her act began. Oh my God, my family, Ryan, Ethan, she screamed, running toward the house. A cop caught her arm before she got too close. She just collapsed against him, sobbing. I squeezed the steering wheel so hard my knuckles were white. The fire chief walked up. Ma'am, we haven't found any bodies yet. The fire was really intense. Brooke looked up, her mascara a mess. They have to be in there. Ryan texted me goodnight at 9 o'clock. They were sleeping. But I saw it. That little flicker on her face when he said no bodies. It wasn't grief. It was fear. She was scared they hadn't found us. Our first look suggests the gas system, the chief continued. We'll investigate it completely. The gas system, her voice shot up. But Ryan just designed it. He's an engineer over at Boeing. More sobs. She was starting her story, blaming my work. I grabbed Ethan's smartwatch and typed fast, Hey babe, Ethan and I stopped to get a late dinner. Home soon. I hit send. Brooke's phone buzzed. She looked down. Her face went pale, ghost white. She looked up, her eyes darting through the crowd into the shadows. The show was over. This was pure panic. She knows we're alive. I put the car in drive and pulled away real slow. No lights. Dad, Ethan's voice was tiny. Why don't we tell the police? I chose my words carefully, because right now it's our story against Mom's. She has an alibi. The airport cameras saw her. We need proof first. Remember how I didn't believe you grown-ups make that mistake too? Ethan nodded his head slowly. Evidence like on TV? Exactly. I drove us to a cheap motel by the airport, paid with cash, and signed in as John Smith. The room smelled like stale smoke and bleach. Ethan fell onto the bed and was asleep in minutes. I sat in the bathroom, with the door shut, my dad's business card shaking in my hands. Catherine Reynolds, attorney at law, 2 years ago. When he was dying from cancer, Dad had pushed this into my hand. Son, I don't trust that wife of yours. If you need help the police can't give, call this woman. I was offended at the time. Now at 1 a.m, I dialed, sure I'd get voicemail. She answered on the 3rd ring. This is Catherine Reynolds. Ms. Reynolds, my father was Robert Mitchell. He gave me your number 2 years ago. In case you needed help your wife couldn't know about. Her voice was steady. John warned me this might happen. What's wrong, Ryan? I know who you are. Your father told me everything. He never trusted Brooke. He asked me to watch out for you, talk and be quick. I told her everything. The fire, the men who said it, Ethan's warning, the key, how he hid, how I watched Brooke put on a show. Don't go to the police yet, Catherine said. They'll need hard evidence, not just your word. Be at my office tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I don't have proof, not yet. But she sounded so sure. I knew exactly where to start my wife's car at the airport. It was 2 a.m. I left Ethan asleep in our motel room and drove back to SeaTac. I wasn't the husband dropping off his wife anymore. I was a man looking for proof she tried to kill me. The parking garage was almost empty, level 3, section B. There it was, the silver Honda CR-V. I just sat there for a second. What if I find nothing? But then I heard Ethan's voice in my head. I heard her dad. That pushed me to get out of the car. The spare was on my work keychain, an emergency key she never knew I had. I unlocked the driver's side and got in. First I smelled her perfume, then that chemical smell. It was the same stuff from the fire. I searched everywhere, glove box, console, under the seats. My fingers hit something plastic under the passenger seat. A burner phone. I turned it on. 15% battery left. Only one contact saved. C. I opened the texts. From 5 days ago. Brooke, I can't live this lie anymore. I want to be with you, Derek. C replied, so do it. Think of the insurance money. A fresh start. 4 days ago. Brooke, I'm scared. What if it goes wrong? Babe, I found the right guys. They're professionals. It'll look like his gas system failed. It's his own design. Nobody's going to suspect an engineer made a mistake. 3 days ago. Brooke, I got the $50,000 in cash. A good girl. Leave the key under the back doormat. They'll take care of it Thursday night. I kept scrolling. A later message same day. Brooke, what about Ethan? C's reply. Collateral damage, babe. Do you want this new life or not? Can't have a kid with no dad. And Brooke? She replied, you're right, no loose ends. The phone fell out of my hands. Collateral damage. She called our son. Collateral damage. I threw the car door open and just heaved onto the concrete floor. 2 days ago. C wrote, Thursday, 11 p.m. You're at the airport. Perfect alibi. I'll be at the gym with cameras everywhere. Untouchable. Thursday morning. Brooke, I love you. C. Love you too, babe. Tonight we're free, and by tomorrow you'll be a very rich widow. I made myself keep looking. In the glove box, I found a receipt for a $50,000 cash withdrawal, dated Monday with Brooke's signature. In the center console, a key for an airport locker number 247, then the life insurance papers, me Ryan for $3 million. Ethan for $500,000, the beneficiary for both Brooke Mitchell. And in the trunk, my blueprints, the gas system I designed for our house covered in red circles. It was Brooke's handwriting. Sabotage here. Make it look like an accident. Blame a design flaw. She studied my work for months. She learned my own engineering just to use it against me. She turned my safety design into a death trap. I took pictures of everything. Every single text, every paper, the blueprints. I emailed copies to a secure account, and then I took all the physical evidence with me. The phone, the receipt, the blueprints, the insurance forms. I just sat in my truck, shaking. I designed that system to keep my family safe, and she turned it into a weapon to kill us. I gave myself 5 minutes to fall apart, and then I stopped. It was time to think like an engineer. I had the proof. Now I needed a plan. The sun was coming up over Seattle as I drove back to the motel. I had texts and papers that proved what they'd planned. But Catherine was right. It wasn't enough. We needed more. We needed her to confess. By the time Ethan woke up on Friday morning, I had already met with Catherine Reynolds. We came up with a plan that would either prove my wife was guilty or completely destroy what was left of my life. Her office was in an old brick building downtown. There were stacks of files everywhere. Family law awards hung on the walls next to pictures of clients she'd helped. I laid out all the evidence on her desk. Phone photos, the burner phone plans with Brooke's notes in her own handwriting. She looked over everything without saying a word. When she got to the text about collateral damage, she let out a soft whistle. This is really bad, Ryan, but we've got a problem. A defense lawyer's going to argue the phone was stolen, planted, or faked. They'll say Brooke never wrote any of these texts. My chest got tight. So it's not enough. It's strong, she said. But we need to get her on tape admitting it while she still thinks you're dead. Catherine gave a grim smile. That's exactly why this is going to work. You're about to come back from the dead. An hour later, Detective James Parker walked in. He was a black guy in his 50s with salt and pepper hair. He looked over the evidence with the face of a man who'd seen too much, but still wasn't looking away. 28 years on the force, he said quietly. I've seen some bad stuff. But hiring someone to do that to your own kid? He shook his head. Will you help us? I asked. Or is this, I know male victims aren't always. Stop. His voice was firm. I don't care about gender. I care about the truth. His eyes locked with mine. And I have a son too. Your wife tried to take out a child. That's just evil. Something in my chest finally loosened up. Someone actually believed me. Someone with a badge. We need a confession, Parker said. These texts are good, but a smart lawyer could tear them apart. We need her voice admitting she hired those men. How? We'll put a wire on you, a public place. My team will be undercover. You get her to talk. Catherine leaned in. Saturday morning, 10 a.m., that coffee shop on Capitol Hill. It's public, crowded cameras everywhere. Parker nodded. I'll have cops posing as customers, the barista a couple at a corner table. I'll be in a van outside listening to the audio feed. But she thinks I'm dead, I said. Why would she even show up? Because we're going to make her think they found the bodies, Catherine answered. She typed fast and showed me her phone. Mrs. Mitchell, this is Fire Investigator Armstrong. We found remains in the rubble. I need to discuss identification and insurance claim procedures. Can you meet me tomorrow, 10 a.m.? My stomach twisted into a knot. You think she'll come? She'll be desperate to know if you're really gone for good. Catherine hit send. We waited for 2 very long minutes. Then her phone buzzed. Yes, where I need to know about my family. Merolde Coffee, Capitol Hill, 10 a.m. Another buzz. I'll be there. Parker stood up. She took the bait. That afternoon, he taught me how to wear a small mic taped under my shirt. He told me to make her talk about the fire, ask what happened, mention the key, and bring up Ethan, then Derek. Defensive people confess. I practiced my hands shaking the whole time. Ethan watched me from the motel bed. Are you going to be safe, Dad? I promise, I said. That night with Ethan sleeping right next to me, I just lay there wide awake. Tomorrow, I had to face the woman I'd loved for 15 years. The woman who tried to end our son's life. I had 1 shot to make her confess, 1 shot at justice, and 1 shot to keep my promise. Saturday morning came with that crisp Seattle air that makes you feel like anything's possible. But as I walked into that coffee shop on Capitol Hill with a wire hidden under my jacket, all I felt was the crushing weight of what I had to do. I got there at 9:45. The cafe was busy. Saturday regulars, the hum of espresso machines. Check, 1, 2. Audio's good, Detective Parker's voice said in my hidden earpiece. Got you, I whispered back. Undercover cops are in position. The barista, the guy with the laptop, the couple by the window. They're all my people. Just let her talk, Parker said. Just ask questions. Make her explain it all. I ordered a coffee. My hands were shaking. I sat at the window table Parker told me to. 958. Just breathe. I could hear Parker's voice in my head. You got this. At 10:02, the door opened. It was Brooke, black dress. Barely any makeup, hair pulled back. The perfect grieving widow. She scanned the cafe looking for the fire investigator. Then her eyes locked on me. I watched it all play out on her face. Recognition, then confusion, then a shock that made her go pale. She just froze. Someone bumped into her from behind. She didn't even budge. Ryan, she whispered. I just said hi, Brooke. Surprised to see me. She walked to my table like a zombie, collapsed into the chair, and reached for my hands. They were trembling. I pulled away. Her voice cracked. The fire. They said they didn't find any bodies. No bodies because we weren't there. You weren't home. So where were you? Ethan warned me. Our 8-year-old son saved our lives. Her eyes went wide. Ethan, he heard you on the phone. Thursday morning, planning something. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you do. We saw them. 2 men. They used a key to get into our house. I leaned in. Our key? You think they were just burglars? Burglars with a key who poured gasoline in every single room. How do you know that? Because I'm an engineer. I know what arson smells like. Silence. I could see her mind racing. I pulled out some folded papers. I slid them across the table. They were printouts, screenshots of texts from a burner phone. Every single message was there. Brooke just stared at them, all the color drained from her face. Where did you get these? Your Honda in long-term parking, level 3. Section B. You broke into my car. I used the spare key, the one you forgot I had. I pointed to one of the texts. This one. Leave the key under the doormat. You let them in, and this one? It'll look like his gas system malfunctioned, his design. My voice broke. And this, what about Ethan? Collateral damage. I looked right at her. You called our son collateral damage Kinsley. She stared at the papers. No words, no denials. Then she looked up and her eyes were different. Cold, calculating, empty. The panic was gone. The act was over. She stared at the texts for a long moment. Then she laughed. It was a bitter, cold laugh with zero humor in it. When she looked up, the woman I married was gone. I was sitting across from a stranger wearing her face, and that stranger was about to tell me the truth. Brooke's laugh cut through the cafe noise, making people turn around. She leaned forward and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Pure honesty. You were always smarter than I thought, Ryan. Why, Brooke? My voice cracked. Just tell me why. She glanced around this cafe, then leaned in closer, her voice low. Because I've been suffocating for 15 years. I was dying slowly in that perfect life you built. I married you because I was 28 and desperate. My biological clock was screaming. All my friends had kids. You were safe. Stable. Boring as hell, but safe. I thought having a kid would make me happy. She laughed that bitter laugh again. 10 years of IVF, 10 years of needles and procedures and failures, $100,000 for a kid I never even wanted. I felt sick to my stomach. Ethan was an obligation, her voice was ice, an expensive, time-consuming obligation. I played the part of the good mom, but on the inside I was empty. And you, God, you were never there, Ryan, always at Boeing, always designing something. You married your career, I just lived in the house you paid for. When's the last time you really even looked at me? I couldn't answer her. I was invisible. Then I met Derek 6 months ago at the gym. Her eyes actually lit up. He saw me. He actually saw me. He made me feel alive for the first time in 15 years, so you were going to kill us. My voice was shaking. Derek's got some bad gambling debts. We needed the cash. She said it so casually, like talking about groceries, the life insurance, the house. It all adds up to $4.5 million. We could just start over. Hawaii, new name's a fresh start. It was Derek's idea at first, but I was on board. Your gas system. That was the perfect touch. Wasn't it? I studied your blueprints for months, Ryan. I learned exactly where to rig it. Make it look like it was your fault. Derek found the guys to do the job. $50,000 in cash. I left the key under the back doormat for them Thursday night. I balled up my fists. And our son. She just shrugged. She actually shrugged her shoulders. What about him? He's 8 years old, Brooke. 8. He was in the house. Unfortunate. Collateral damage. That's what you called our son. Derek wrote that. But yeah, it's true. She leaned back. I wasn't going to leave him behind just to be reminded of you all the time. A burden. A quick end in his sleep is better than years of therapy and resentment. She looked right at me. I was being merciful. Ryan, I shot to my feet, my chair scraping loud against the floor. Merciful. My voice echoed across the cafe. People started staring. You were going to let our son burn alive. Sit down, she hissed. People are looking. I don't care who's looking. I leaned over the table right in her face. Say it. Say exactly what you were planning to do. Her face got all red. She stood up, matching my rage. Fine, you want me to say it? Her voice got louder, cutting through the now silent cafe. I hired 2 guys to torch the house with you and Ethan inside. I wanted the insurance money to start over with Derek. I learned your system inside and out to make it look like your fault. And yes, our son had to die. That was always part of the plan. The cafe was completely silent, with everyone staring. She glanced around, the realization hitting her. She dropped back into her chair. Are you recording this? I am. Her face went pale. I opened my jacket just enough for her to see the wire. Every word, detective. You get all that? Detective James Parker came through the door, his badge out. We got every word, Mr. Mitchell. The barista dropped her apron and flashed a badge. The guy with the laptop got up, badge in hand. The couple near the window, they were cops too. They all closed in on Brooke's table. Brooke Mitchell, Seattle Police. You're under arrest. You set me up. She tried to make a break for it. An officer cut her off. Parker pulled out the handcuffs. Attempted murder on 2 counts, conspiracy to commit murder. Arson and insurance fraud. We could have been happy, she screamed at me as they put the cuffs on her. Derek and I, we could have been. Derek Lawson's already in custody, ma'am, Parker said calmly. He's cooperating fully with the DA. She just froze. What, we picked him up this morning, I said. He confessed, gave us the names of the guys you hired. He sold you out, Brooke, told them it was all your idea. No, he wouldn't. It was a plea deal, Parker added. 20 years instead of life. As they led her to the door, she glanced back at me one last time. I expected to see anger, regret, maybe fear, but instead, I just saw relief. She was relieved it was over, relieved she didn't have to lie anymore. I hate you, she said quietly. I hate you, Ryan. I know I said. You always did. I just never wanted to see it. As they led Brooke away through the packed cafe, she looked back one final time and I saw something in her eyes that'll haunt me way more than her hatred. It was relief. She was relieved she could finally stop pretending to love us after 15 years of living a lie. She could finally take it off. The trial took 4 weeks. The DA's case was airtight. Detective Parker got on the stand and talked about the wire with Brooke's voice clear as day, confessing to the whole murder-for-hire plot. They played it for the whole packed courtroom. I hired them. I studied his blueprints. I wanted him and Ethan in that house. Ethan wasn't there. Catherine made sure of that. But I was. I just watched the faces of the jury. Brooke's lawyers tried everything. They claimed it was a coerced confession, emotional distress, even temporary insanity. Then the prosecution showed the evidence from her Honda. The texts from the burner phone. What about the boy collateral damage? My blueprints with her handwriting on them. Sabotage here. Make it look like his design flaw. Then the bank records, a $50,000 cash withdrawal the week before the fire. Then Derek testified. He'd taken a plea deal, 20 years instead of life. He swore Brooke planned it all, promised him $3 million, and said, I'd designed a system that was perfect for an accident. The 2 arsonists testified too. They described how Brooke gave them the key and the blueprints, gave them specific instructions, paid them $20,000 each. And I testified about Ethan's warning about hiding across the street, about watching 2 men use a key my wife gave them to burn down my house with my son inside. The jury was out for 6 hours. Guilty. On every single count. Attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, arson, insurance fraud, 25 years, and I felt nothing. No relief. It wasn't a victory, just empty. Outside, Ethan held my hand. He was 9 by then, taller, quieter. Dad, is Mom coming home? I told him no, not for a very, very long time. He nodded, then whispered, good. That one word just broke me. 6 months later, we were trying to build a new life. The divorce was final. I got full custody. The court terminated Brooke's rights as a parent. Trying to have your own kid killed tends to do that. I sold the land in Lake City. I couldn't rebuild there. Just too many ghosts. We bought a smaller house in Ballard, 1 story, no gas system. It's all electric. Ethan helped pick it out. He needed to have that control. The insurance money finally came through. $1.2 million for the house and everything inside. It felt like blood money. I put it in a trust for Ethan and donated $100,000 to a trauma center for children. Boeing offered me extended leave, but I didn't go back. I just couldn't. Every blueprint just reminded me of how Brooke turned my own work into a weapon. I took a job teaching engineering safety at the University of Washington. I teach how systems fail and why engineers have to plan for people using their designs for evil. My students think I'm intense. They have no idea why. Ethan started 4th grade. His teachers know what happened, a simpler version of it. They watch out for any signs. The nightmares don't happen as often now. It used to be every night. Ethan would wake up screaming, smelling smoke that wasn't there. He sees a therapist twice a week, and I see one once a week. Dr. Stephanie Morgan is a specialist in childhood trauma. She says Ethan has classic PTSD symptoms. Always on edge, can't trust anyone, scared of being abandoned. He saved your life, she told me one time. But he also lost his childhood the moment he figured out his own mother wanted him dead. My therapist works with me on survivor's guilt and trust issues. I haven't dated. I can't even imagine it. How do you ever trust again after the person who promised to love you hires people to murder your child? Ethan still asks me sometimes, Dad, why did Mom want us to die? I never have any good answers. Dr. Morgan says he needs the truth just in a way he can handle. So I say, sometimes people get really lost inside themselves. They make terrible, terrible choices. I tell him, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't mine. It was all her. He always nods, but I see the question in his eyes. It's the same one I ask myself. How do you get your head around the fact that your own mother decided you were an acceptable loss? We're healing, but it's slow. We're different people now. Ethan doesn't trust anyone easily. Neither do I. The fire took our house, but what Brooke did took something much deeper. Our innocence. The belief that the people who love you won't destroy you. 3 years and 2 months after that night at SeaTac Airport, the night I finally chose to believe my son. I sat on our porch in Greenwood watching Ethan, who is 11 now, play basketball with his best friend Tyler. The sound of him laughing was everything. I was drinking coffee from the mug Ethan got me last Christmas. It says, "World's Best Dad" in crooked letters. I keep it on my desk at the university. My students think it's sweet. They don't know it's basically a purple heart. Ethan jogged over out of breath. "Dad, can I get some water?" I handed him the bottle. He flopped down on the step next to me. Tyler's dad is taking us to the Mariners game next Saturday. Can I go? Of course. Just text me when you get there and when you're leaving. He rolled his eyes. Dad, I'm 11, not 8. And I'm your father who almost lost you. Just do it for me. He gave me a quick hug. Yeah, he's getting better. The nightmares only pop up about once a month now. Therapy is monthly too. He still checks the locks every night. He probably always will. But it's not panic anymore. It's just routine. He has friends, he plays ball, he wants to be a civil engineer. Building bridges, Dad, he told me. Stuff that connects people, not houses. He stopped himself. He didn't have to finish. I knew what he meant. I've been teaching at the University of Washington for 3 years, engineering safety, teaching students about fail-safes, how to stop total disasters. My own tragedy became my new career, but I can't design things anymore. I tried once. I had a full-blown panic attack staring at blueprints. Every line I just saw her notes, her sabotage. That loss still stings, but I've made peace with it. I'm a teacher now, not a builder. And that's okay. Tyler left. Ethan came back and sat with me. Dad, can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever think about Mom? He looked nervous to even ask. Yeah, I said. Not like I used to, but yeah, do you hate her? Every single day, I thought. But I paused. No, I hate what she did. Hating her just takes up energy I'd rather spend on you. His voice got quiet. I got a letter from her last week, from prison. My heart just stopped cold. I don't know if I should open it. Part of me wants to understand why. But the other part of me just doesn't care anymore. I told him, whatever you decide, I've got your back. But Ethan, you don't owe her forgiveness. You don't owe her anything. Did you forgive her? He asked. I took a deep breath. No, but I did let her go. There's a difference. Forgiving her means saying what she did is okay now. I'll never say that. Letting go means I'm not going to carry the weight of her choices anymore. That I can do. I could see the wheels turning. So letting go is for me, not for her. Exactly. You're a smart kid. Ethan went inside. I just sat there. What haunts me isn't the fire. It's not the 2 men she sent. It's not the trial or her confession. What haunts me is knowing that for 15 years, I shared my life with someone who saw us as obstacles, as problems she had to get rid of. I'll never know when it all changed, or if it was ever real to begin with. Was she always wearing a mask? Did she feel any real joy holding our baby, or was she just running the numbers even back then? Every single memory is suspect now. Was she happy at our wedding or just adding up my future salary? Was her grief over IVF real or just resentment? Did she ever love our son, or was he always just a piece she was willing to sacrifice? Those are the real ghosts. 15 years of fake memories. That's the part that gets me, and it probably always will. Ethan came out in Tyler's jersey. Dad, I'm heading to Tyler's. Be back for dinner by 6, I said. It's your turn to set the table. He grabbed his bike, then turned back. Hey, Dad. Thanks for believing me that night at the airport. My throat got tight. Always, son. I'll always believe you. He smiled. I know. That's why we're okay now. Then he pedaled away. I watched him go down the street. She didn't win. She tried to wipe us out. Turn us into a check from the insurance company. But we're still here. Wounded? Yeah, changed you bet. But we're here and we're healing. Moving on. My 8-year-old boy warned me about his own mother and what she did next. It still gets to me. It really does. And it probably always will. But being haunted isn't the same as being lost. We made it. We're rebuilding. Every day Ethan wakes up safe is a day we win. We've got scars, sure, but we also won. And that's all that matters. Now, if you're listening to this story, I need you to really hear me. I ignored the red flags for 15 years. How distant she was, the cold way she planned things, how Brooke never really connected with Ethan. I told myself it was normal. You know that marriage is hard, that love just changes. Don't be me. Trust your gut. If something feels off, if your partner seems checked out, if the relationship feels like a business deal, if your spouse sees your kid as a problem instead of a gift, don't ignore it. Don't make excuses. Don't wait until someone tries to burn it all down. The lesson I learned, the one I teach my engineering students now, is this. Systems break down when you ignore the small cracks. And relationships are no different. That little doubt, that uneasy feeling in your stomach, that moment you wonder if you really know the person next to you, pay attention to it. I thank God that Ethan was brave enough to warn me. That 8-year-old kid saved both our lives because he trusted his gut when I'd stopped trusting my own. I'm not telling you this story to scare you. I'm telling it to wake you up. Check the locks on your doors. Listen to your kids. Trust your instincts. And never, ever assume that just because someone shares your home, they share your heart. This is one of those grandpa stories I'll tell Ethan's kids someday, not to scare them, but to teach them to always be aware. That's the real story of survival paying attention before things get bad. If this story hit home for you, please drop a comment below and share what you're thinking. Subscribe to Grandpa Stories for more real-life lessons and hit that share button. You never know whose life you might save. Your support helps these Grandpa Stories reach the people who need to hear them the most.